Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, Maya Azucena, and I am absolutely thrilled to have my dear friend Intikana join me. Intikana, I first met as one of my absolute favorite hip hop MCs out of New York City. He's a very powerful artist. He's also a community activist and an educator, and then the list goes on from there. Intikana, thank you so much for honoring us with your presence.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Maya, so much. Thank you.
Yay! Okay, so we're doing these short and sweet interviews with the goal of sharing something personal, but also our personal stories can inspire others. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump into the first question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, would you mind sharing a story or circumstance where someone or something made you feel that you are not enough?
Ooh, and then the camera zooms in. Well, it's so interesting because that question leads me down a whole road of, I guess essentially I would say in my career, my path, and my journey, there's been a lot of tests along the way where I feel like people test you, like trying to see if one, you are who you say you are, but then also trying to make themselves appear better than you or greater than you. I mean, I've been beat by police, so there's a lot of moments where I felt, very demeaned or not feel like I'm enough. You know, uh, Brutalized by cops, guns put on me by cops, in this country and other countries too. A lot of moments where it's just like, it's like testing you.
I would
Um,
like to share with people something that you may or may not know. Intikana, Intikana is a very kind and truthful, beautiful soul on this planet. And what I do know about one case of the police brutality, he was documenting uh, uh, in during a time when there were people gathered protesting. Am I right?
mhm.
Only Intikana was documenting. He was not causing any trouble. He was not being violent. He wasn't up, you know, provoking anything other than documenting. And Intikana is not a big sized person. And these guys, turned on him. And you ended up in the hospital for how long because of this?
Uh, well, they didn't immediately take me to the hospital. I should have been in the hospital the whole time, but it was like, yeah, like 23 hours in like different cells. They kept changing me because like the first cell I went to had like 50 people, and by the way I looked, they all like literally a whole cell of strangers were like, this guy could die, and they started chanting to like the police or whoever was like guarding the cells and stuff. And it wasn't until like some white people that were in the cell were like, hey, you're gonna have a case on your hands if you don't take this guy to the hospital, da da da. And it's like, I've seen cases like this before. And so eventually they took me from that cell, put me to another cell with like five people, more complete strangers. And these were people that were like, dealing with some issues. And they were saying the same thing, like, yo, you got to get this guy to a hospital, man. This guy looks bad. You got to take him to a hospital. They took me out that cell, put me in a cell by myself, away from everyone where nobody can complain about me. So I waited there for almost a day till the next day. And then when they eventually took me to the hospital, I was there for, I think, most of the day there. But, I had a hematoma, which is like, accumulation of blood outside the skull. So like inside my head, like I was like bleeding. They like broke a bone in my wrist. It was like a small bone. I had a like black eye. I
How,
had a
how tall are
concussion.
you? I just because I just people need to be able to visualize what kind of mentality. Your height is not very tall, right? What's your height?
5'2", 5'2".
5'2", and more than one cop did this.
Yeah, they were all. I mean, the guy who grabbed me, I think he was over 6 feet. He might have been at least 6 feet tall. He was a big dude, heavy set. Didn't have like he had to be. He was a higher up. I found out later, but he didn't have like the same. I forgot what he was wearing, but he didn't have the same thing that all the other officers had. So he was like a higher ranking person, and like it was just something like, he grabbed me and threw me on a pile of garbage. You know what I'm saying? My face was stuffed in a garbage bag. It was disgusting. It was like, then a bunch of other officers started pounding me, kicking me. He took a
And
baton.
this was because you were filming on your phone, or you had a camera?
So I had a professional camera. I was filming, and people were getting arrested in the street. And I'm telling like, why are you arresting this guy? Like, why are you doing this? Or asking them questions. And he was like, get on the sidewalk. And I was at the edge of the sidewalk, so I take like whatever half step back or whatever. But I'm right there at the sidewalk, and he's telling me, to get back, to get back. I'm like, I'm on the sidewalk, and technically, legally, I could film from there. So he just took it upon himself to grab me and throw me to the floor, and other police started, rushing in. But I do want to say this: it wasn't until later that that group Anonymous, the hacktivist collective. Have you heard of
Yes.
them? They
Yes.
actually, so the police were filming me, and then the policeman was filming. I guess they get trained to say, "Stop resisting," So he's screaming, "Stop resisting!" And he sees like, I mean, you see in the footage, like it's not resisting. I'm getting pounded. I'm breathing. That's all I'm doing, breathing and getting beat up. And he's saying, "Stop resisting." And the footage, I got that footage from the police due to Anonymous. Anonymous put that footage out. So otherwise, I had my camera, but it was around my neck, and it turned off as soon as I hit the floor. So it was one of those things where it's like I wouldn't have had proof of anything, and Anonymous actually, put that out there, which was big.
I think it's
Um,
so interesting. Like sometimes when I'm thinking about I am enough or I am not enough, it's like this psychological result of kind of treatment that we've received at some point in our life. But it seems, even from what you're describing, it's like a system in multiple cases is making it clear that you are not enough for equal treatment. You are not enough to be treated with humanely. You're not enough. I mean, and it's like, how do you how do you walk through a life surrounded by systems that are reminding you that to them you're not enough? How do you, because I know you work with young people and you also have now the perspective to speak to your earlier self. What can you say when surrounded by systems that really don't care about you? What do you say to your earlier self, and what do you say to young people um, now? How to navigate and how to feel enough, or to recognize that they are enough in that environment.
yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think for me, my art is what saved my life. It gave me purpose. It gave me something to pursue and love and obsess over and feel appreciated and valued and seen. So through hip hop, through music, through art and theater and film and any and everything I ever explored in my life creatively uh, gave me alternatives or options or outlets to express myself, to be myself, to express how I feel. And a lot of times, things that I learn, I share as I learn it. So a lot of my journey and my music stuff, I'm sharing as I learn. And, for young people who are dealing with that, and I know they are because I see it regularly, I've always found a strong reason, or a strong reason for me, or a strong purpose in speaking to them or reminding them is who they are and who they were before, a long time ago, before certain powers were in place to make them feel this way. We were amazing, we were fly, we were incredible, and we still are. It's just, a lot of our resources and assets have been taken away from us, obviously. So, I always try to teach them about their history, let them know, and then try to give them tools that they can actually utilize, like I utilized when I was growing up writing. I would go through these things and I would write. When something tragic happened in my life, I lost somebody passed away, somebody got locked up, whatever it is, I was always writing and then, performing on stage, sharing it, and then getting that immediate response from people in real time for me has been life changing. It's kept me alive. It really has. Because if I didn't have these things, I don't know. If I just always felt demeaned everywhere I went, like when you first asked the question, the first thing that came to mind, which wasn't maybe the story I wanted to go to immediately, but like there's times in professional settings where, these uh, foreign European powers are in control and supervisor positions that they're not invested like I'm invested. Like I put my life on the line in a lot of places, in a lot of cases, because I believe in what I'm fighting for. Where people come, they get paid way more, and then they oversee like people like me or artists from the community, and then treat it like it's a money exchange. Like let's say we're getting paid for something. Yeah, but what we're doing, you're asking us to do soul work. You're asking us to be alchemists, to be magical, to light up the minds of these young people and get them to think differently. Like we're doing things that are intangible. You can't put all of those measurements and statistics on paper. You can say they learned this, or you could try to measure as much as you can, but there's things that when something sparks inside a young person and they see life differently, that's magic. And a lot of times we're put in these places to do sometimes the impossible, and then we still get treated like we're not who we are. And I think that's part of also why they'll try to, let's say, negotiate less or pay, artists less or certain things like that. So where it's like, stay in your place. All right, you do that, that's cool, but don't go past this threshold. And it's
So
always
now that you've been through those experiences, sorry to interrupt you, but now that you've experienced those things, you've you you've experienced them, so you've been through it. What would you say now to your earlier self when faced with those kinds of comments? Like in short, what would you say, now that you have all this perspective and experience?
well, to be honest, and I haven't thought about this much, but I guess, what comes to me is to be more patient. I think definitely when I was younger, I was a lot more like I had a visceral response to these kind of things where I get upset or, get myself in further trouble because I'm not reacting very well to what's coming at me. But realizing, number one, a lot of people are colonized and conditioned and brainwashed, and they don't even know themselves, let alone can even come close to understanding who's right in front of them, be it me or the students. So saying to my younger self, man, love yourself, bro. I would say, you know, when the love is not there, don't stay there. If it's not real, then be out. Sometimes I would stay in certain places that were not, mistreating me or something like that, a little too long. But also believe in myself enough to know that I can even exceed my own expectations. I know when I was, let's say, a teenager, a number of my friends who, I played sports with or I was very close with in school, like, people were dying at a young age, like before I was like 18. And then a number of them got locked up, like people I got close with in middle school, people I got close with in high school. So it was such a thing to a point that I was like, man, making it to 18, that's a real accomplishment. You got to be really somebody to make it past 18. And, I was always living with a sense of urgency. Even in my work, it's urgent. I'm in a space and I'm like, we got to get this done because I never knew how much time I had. So now I'm older and I'm like, man, like I'm happy to have made it. And I think you can make it even further when you're patient, understand the complexities in like social situations and not to be so reactive, not reactionary, more like forward thinking and purpose driven in a way where I don't put myself at a disadvantage or can possibly hurt myself from reacting the wrong way.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think that there are a lot of young people that maybe nobody actually said that to them. Exactly. Okay, so there's so much here that I really, of course, would want to spend more time talking on all these levels, but we got to wrap it up for now. And so, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for who you are as a human being and for being my friend and also for
Yes.
doing this interview.
Yes, thank you so much. And you are a shining example for individuals such as myself and for the artistic community around the world. You are a trailblazer, you do your own thing and you do it beyond measure, on billboards and on posters and all these amazing things that, um, young children can only aspire to. So I'm so proud of you, so thankful for the human being you are, how much you give, and you've inspired me a great deal. And when I think of I am enough, someone such as yourself, you, Maya Azucena, you remind me that I am who I am. I need to continue to fight for myself, not give up. And there's so much love in the world. There's so much to be grateful for. So thank you.
I love it. Thank you.
I am enough. You are enough. Are you ready to share your I am enough story?